Are you not afraid about being blackballed again? These are some power people.
These people are not powerful. Satan can't create anything. That includes blessings for his people. You know what the #1 job of somebody that sold their soul in Hollywood is? Is to act like it didn't happen.
What do you hope that your legacy is going to be?
There is part of me that I will be able to leave this earth.
They say if you don't play by the rules, you disappear. But what if the rules were never meant to include you in the first place? On July 20th, 2025, Malcolm-Jamal Warner, the heart of a generation, a man who carried dignity through every chapter of his life, died in a way that felt almost symbolic. A freak accident in paradise, a deadly rip current, a man gone too soon. But maybe what's most disturbing isn't how he died, it's why no one saw him until he was gone. If this already stings, hit that like button, because this story, it deserves to be heard. Malcolm was on a quiet vacation in Costa Rica, swimming with his daughter, when they were suddenly pulled into the merciless pull of the Pacific. A stranger, a surfer, managed to save his little girl. But by the time help arrived, it was too late for Malcolm. He died of asphyxia by submersion. The official report says it was an accident. But what followed didn't feel accidental at all. The tributes came pouring in. Legend, icon, one of the greats. But where were these voices when he was alive?
Spent, so much of the early part of my life listening to, being celebrated on one hand, but paying way too much attention to the naysayers.
Where were they when Malcolm was doing the kind of work that doesn't trend on social media? Work rooted in purpose, in truth, in pushing back against an industry that quietly punished him for refusing to play the fool.
Even before conception, we were very clear with him. And I knew that I needed a girl first to kind of ease me into it, because I have a pretty good idea of what kind of father I would be. So I needed a girl to kind of, slow me down and warm and soften me up, if you will. So for me, raising my daughter, I came into fatherhood already with a certain maturity and certain understanding of male-female dynamics. And with a girl, all of that starts with the father. So I've always, since I literally pulled her out of my wife.
He wasn't a Hollywood cautionary tale. He was the rare success story that didn't come with a sellout clause. An Emmy-nominated actor, a Grammy-winning musician, a poet, a devoted husband, a loving father, a voice of integrity in a business that too often trades soul for spotlight. And still, Hollywood turns back. Why? Because Malcolm made a decision that few are brave enough to make. He said no. No to roles that made a mockery of black men. No to clown acts. No to dresses and caricatures. No to becoming the stereotype they could package, sell, and discard. And in doing that, he became invisible. Katt Williams has been shouting this from rooftops for years. Not for attention, but out of desperation. When you say no in Hollywood, Katt warned, you don't just lose roles.
That's what they all end up saying at the end of the day. Kevin told you he wasn't gonna wear no dress until they offered him the dress, and then he put it on. And what did he say after he wore it? I made my own decision, duh. But you didn't make it before they brought it up, did you?
You lose your voice. And if you say no as a black man, you get erased. Malcolm didn't chase virality. He chased truth.
Has never been a person that has been parodied 9 times on Saturday Night Live and yet never been invited other than me. I, at this point, take it as a badge of honor that they don't fuck with me. A lot of times when people are doing an impression of you, they're really showing you how they feel about you. You know what I mean? So for Saturday Night Live to have an impression of me and have a woman do that means they think I'm a bitch. And I understand that that's what they're saying when they do that. I understand how the game goes, and I understand that if you love me, I know why you do. And if you don't with me, I understand why.
He didn't take shortcuts. He took responsibility. He could have been a blockbuster star, a sitcom fixture, a red carpet regular. Instead, he became something far more dangerous to the system. A black man who knew his worth and wouldn't compromise. He poured his energy into stories that mattered.
For the title is combating the narrative of black life, black culture that the media focuses on, and
that we're all one thing.
Yeah, and the whole concept is, we're not all hood. The black community is not a monolith.
He produced plays on black history. He spoke openly about how mainstream media distorts black identity. He challenged the music industry for glorifying violence and misogyny. He didn't just talk about being better, he lived it. And for that, Hollywood left him in the shadows. But now that he's gone, they want him back. Streaming platforms dusting off old projects. Studios hyping tributes. Celebrities calling him a hero. But where was this love when it could have meant something?
There should be a moratorium on both of those words in hip-hop, because it's low-lying fruit, it's so easy, everybody fucking does it, to the point that it's corny. Like, there are MCs who I love, who I cannot listen to anymore, because I love J. Cole, but I had to stop listening to J. Cole, because I got tired of hearing nigga and bitch every 2 sentences, because he's proven himself to be such a incredible lyricist.
That you think it's just too low-hanging fruit for him to use those words.
I feel like
where were these platforms when he was pushing out episodes of Not All Hood, trying to dismantle the myth that blackness must be one-dimensional? Where were they when he challenged networks in print for reinforcing stereotypes under the illusion of progress? Where were they when he asked why black music too often sounds anti-black?
And Drake beef, which, they talk about how much they hate each other and give all these references to violence and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Do you think, even though we enjoy those songs and they're bops, do you think that has a detrimental impact upon the culture ultimately?
Ultimately, yes. It's been normalized for, us to call ourselves the N-word, right? And we like to talk about how we've taken the power of that word back. But I'm of the school of thought, if I'm trying to speak love and upliftment to my brother, why am I going to borrow a word from people who use the word because they hate me? But we get caught up in, we're turning the N-word into a positive. But our music is not reflecting positivity, love, and upliftment of our culture. And we're at a point now where so much of especially our music, so much of our black music, when you strip away the music and just listen to the lyrics, so much of our black music is really anti-black.
Oh, you think so?
When you think about it, you almost cannot have hip-hop without talking about drugs, using the N-word, and murking somebody.
Right.
Or calling a female, a bitch or a hoe. Like that's become we've normalized that so much that I think we need a space where we can say, wait a minute, that's not all.
This isn't just about one man's death. It's about what we choose to reward. It's about how we forget the ones who choose character over celebrity. Because Malcolm-Jamal Warner didn't fall off. He refused to sell out. And now, the world suddenly remembers him. This is the same playbook Katt Williams laid bare. You don't get celebrated for being authentic while you're breathing. You get memorialized once you're no longer a threat. And that's what this feels like. Not celebration, sanitization. The industry couldn't control Malcolm, so they ignored him until they could control his memory. But what if we refuse to let that happen? What if we honor the legacy he actually built, not the one they try to sell us now? Malcolm-Jamal Warner's life wasn't tragic. It was radical. He stood for something, and in a world that rewards spectacle over substance. That alone is revolutionary. So now we ask the hard questions. Why does it take death to be seen? Why do we wait until someone is gone before we value the example they gave us in life? Was Malcolm pushed out for refusing to perform? And what does it say about us if we keep letting this happen? Drop your thoughts below. Let's keep this conversation alive. Because Malcolm lived a life worth remembering. Not because of how he died, but because of how he refused to live on anyone else's terms.